Good evening, viewers. I am Mrs. Rashmi Tripathi, English teacher, and I'm going to analyze the second and the third stanza of Daffodils by William Wordsworth. In the last video, I had analyzed the first and the second stanza. So, the third stanza begins with, "The waves beside them danced." So the waves danced beside them. Them here refers to the field of daffodils, which was so beautiful and striking that the narrator is absolutely fascinated by the sight, and he stands there for a long while gazing at the beauty. But they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. Now the waves that was there in the bay, the waves seemed to dance because of the movement of the wind. But the daffodils seemed to be ecstatic, and they beat the waves in competition, or they outdid the waves in competition. So it seemed to be a competition as to who was more ecstatic or gleeful, and the daffodils proved to be the more joyous or the more gleeful. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. Now this was such a beautiful sight that the poet could not but be gay. That means he had no other option but to be happy and cheerful, because he was in the company of the daffodils, which were jocund or very cheerful. I gazed and gazed, but little thought. He kept on looking at the daffodils meditatively for a very long time, but at that time he did not realize what wealth the show to me had brought, how priceless was this moment, and how wonderful it would have an impact on him later on. He was not aware of that. For oft means often, when on my couch I lie. So whenever I lie on my couch, in vacant or in pensive mood, whenever his mind is blank or he is in a very thoughtful and contemplative mood, they flash upon that inward eye. They refers to the golden daffodils. So the memory of the golden daffodils flashes in his mind's eye. Inward eye refers to the mind's eye, or the memory or the imagination of a person. So whatever he had seen earlier, that comes as a flash in his memory, which is the bliss of solitude. Now this is the joy of aloneness. Now aloneness does not mean loneliness. When you are in solitude, the joy that you feel. So at this moment, when he remembers the sight of the daffodils, his mind is filled with pleasure. And then my heart with pleasure fills his heart, which was feeling very sorrowful and was in a very meditative or contemplative mood. He was in a vacant mood. Now it fills with pleasure, with joy, and dances with the daffodils. It is so brimming with joyfulness that his heart starts dancing with the daffodils. Now this has a very important lesson to teach us. Wordsworth talks about nature as a life-sustaining force, as a nurturer. So whenever we need calmness or we need to soothe our soul, whenever we are exhausted,